right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the So Free Single with Z podcast. Here I am, your girl Z, and I'm here. We're about to talk about some things tonight. I am really excited about this show, as always, and we got a hot topic to talk about. We're going to talk about those essential dating questions. Now, it's gonna be interesting when we talk about that today. But before that, I always start off with a little known dating fact. So my little known dating fact today, it says, let's see here. Studies show that remembering bits of information about a person and working not only is highly flattering, but also shows interest. Okay. So it's important to have these conversations, but to remember those bits. So when somebody's asking you a bunch of questions or you may be countering those questions, you better remember something. Make a note in your phone then so that they know, hey, I was listening. They're talking these days to make sure that we do that. But that's going to definitely lead us into our topic today of those essential dating questions. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it. So I'm going to bring on my special guest today, but I want you all to keep in mind today, y'all, we are not dating experts. We are just some people on here, some single folks on here talking about single things. So we want you to join in the conversation. Hop on, make comments, ask questions. We're here for it. We're just going to have a little fun. So let me bring on. Hey, y'all. Hey. Welcome.
How you doing?
Amazing as always. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. So let's tell the people who we have here. Who we have?
Hi, my name is Nicole Thurman, and I am from Fort Worth, Texas.
Let's go, Funky Town. All right. All right. Ooh, let's go. Demetrius.
So Demetrius Robinson, representing Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Bucks and six, all that good stuff.
You would with the hat, sir.
Okay. Of course. I got to represent the mill. All right. Well, so glad that you're on today because we're about to talk about a hot topic here and those essential dating questions. Like, what are we supposed to be talking about on these dates? What are we supposed to be? So I'm going to start off a little bit with, first of all, are there certain questions that what do y'all think that we need to ask and on a date? Are there just some things that we just got to ask? Do you think, or is it just that we just let things go with the flow? What do you
Demetrius, you want to answer first?
I can. So I guess it would depend on, like, say, like this, my first time meeting, say Nicole, for example, right? So what I'm gonna probably ask is just, level, surface questions like, hobbies, interests, like, what you like to do, pet peeves, things like that, to kind of, those kind of icebreaker type things or whatever. Hopefully, Nicole will be, reciprocating as well as saying, okay, what does Demetrius like and stuff like that. Versus, like I said, just surface questions versus the hard hitting questions. I think that kind of makes people uncomfortable. You want to kind of ease in, kind of like a job interview or whatever. So, say for instance, like Z is the hiring manager, right? And she's saying, "So, Demetrius, tell me about you." And I'm just off-putting, just saying, you'll figure it out." Like, no, like Z's not gonna say, "Okay, he's the one." She's gonna say, "Thank you," and we'll
next.
Yeah, right. So just those, what you like to do, how you spend your time, like just those type of things I feel like should be like the surface level in the beginning. And then, like you said, the more you get to know each other, the more you feel comfortable. And then you go to the more deep questions. So
okay. So yeah, Nikki, let me hear you before I got some counters for this right now. But go ahead, Nikki.
So I agree with what Demetrius said, but at the same time, if you go with the flow in the beginning, you can actually pay attention because people will show you who they are by how they interact and how they answer. And especially if somebody's lying, they look to the side. Okay, now I know you're lying because you must don't want to talk about that, or you must don't want to answer me. But yeah, I say pay attention to body language, pay attention to their interactions
Mhm.
with you, and
Yeah.
then, like you said, later on, then we can talk about that hard stuff.
Okay. So, is there like one essential question that you're like, this is first day, we can't go any further than this that we have to ask? What do y'all think?
So I would say one, you, one would be like, so how much you make a year? Now,
Really?
Really? I
like, I
can't.
mean, you could ask that, but then there's some people that feel like we not, on that level where we can have that conversation. If you
Wow.
Yeah.
transparent, then yeah, like I make 50,000, I make
Easy.
such and such or whatever. Because it could be a
Beatrice,
thing where they
So you gonna ask
you
right
asked on
away?
the first day?
no, that's what I'm saying. One of those questions that may or may not be like the ones you ask
Okay.
at the gate. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Golly.
saying. Like, yeah,
Okay.
I thought I had it worked because I said I couldn't just ask one. I had three.
right. But you have some people
Oh.
that just, like you said, want to know from the beginning. Like, but like I said, I think it's
Oh.
just, kind of like you said, to kind of just, fill out like how that person is. Like you said, would you want to be asked that question? So like, yeah, just treat me how you want to be treated. Like I said, the
Okay.
surface stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you starting off just with the hard questions, or like say like maybe an easy one would be like, how many kids you have, or have you been
Oh
married
yeah.
before and stuff like that.
Yeah, we got a
But if you
Yeah.
comment that says that kids and do you believe in Jesus? I know that's right.
yeah,
Yeah. I know that's
yeah.
right.
That's
That's one
kind
of
of
my
going back to
questions.
those other podcasts about
Yeah.
Right.
spirituality and stuff like that. Like that
Uh-huh.
should be those are kind of like the surface ones. But when you
Yeah.
trying to ask, hey, where you stay at? Like, wait a minute. Hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, north side, or just keep it general like that or whatever.
Okay.
Once I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with you, then maybe I'll give you an address or something like that. But that's what I was saying, like that out the gate, trying to ask for
Okay.
income information or whatever. Now, what you do is different than how much you make. So
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Because I was about to say, I mean, you came out the gate swinging like that. Like, you want to run me our bank account already? Jeez.
like you said, that's the down the road type of questions. Like
That's
when we get,
definitely down
yeah,
the
yeah.
road.
But
So
Okay.
some people
my
want to know
three
what's
is
up. Like, yeah. Like I've had
my
people that said like literally like I am a person that is on here, so I'm trying to see if somebody's on that financial level. But again, we just met, so eventually if it gets to that level, yeah, let's talk about finances and stuff like that.
Okay.
But some people feel like I'm transparent. I want to know up front, and it's kind of like off putting a little
they,
bit. So.
yeah,
Right.
they straightforward.
Right.
So my three essential questions is what does your relationship with God look like? What does your
Okay.
mental health look like? And then
Ooh.
also, have you healed from your past?
Ah,
Mm,
those
I
are
need to know that
good.
before we can even talk about your finances.
Yes, absolutely. That's good because we talked about it, like I said, a previous show about, you know, is your beliefs, spiritual beliefs, is
mhm,
that a big deal? And we came to some conclusions there. But I mean, it's something one way or the other you want to know up front.
Yeah.
And I like that your mental health, because you know what, we walking around here unwell, very unwell, and sometimes we,
And I'm
we
not trying to be unalive.
right, thank you, because you're unwell. So I mean, have you healed? And I don't even stop there as far as have you healed, but what have you done to heal? Because some people say, oh yeah, I prayed about it and I'm good. I'm like, hey, I'm a big proponent of Jesus and therapy. So so if you have not done some other things, yeah. And you said your mental health, and you also said, what else was the other one again?
I said, what does your mental health look like? What does your relationship with God look like?
Mhm.
And then, have you healed from your past?
Yes. Okay, and that's huge too. Healing from your past, because if you still walk around crying every day about Junebug that y'all broke up with, yeah, we're not gonna make, because you're not gonna be sitting with me breaking down while we trying to have dinner and you over there. Hey, babe, go fix that with the Lord and come back,
Yeah.
right? Oh gosh, good. Okay, all right. So So now let me piggyback to what was said earlier. So Demetrius, you named off a bunch of things when you got started. So are we rapid firing these questions off in the first?
Yeah.
Can I take a bite of my appetizer? I mean, what's happening here? What's happening?
Yeah, like so. Yeah, it's just normal conversation. Just like you said, just kind of like you said, you of course listening more than you're actually speaking or whatever, because you're listening for the responses. You like you said, you got more follow up questions if you have any and stuff like that. But yeah, you just just maybe throwing out a question, like you said, eat your appetizer, listening, taking a sip of something, whatever. And then
Right.
yeah, like maybe they got the same questions for you where you can answer those questions and stuff like that. Like the mental health one, that's a real good question. Like
Yeah.
like and again, you're not like trying to judge. You just kind of just saying, okay, where you are right now, whatever. Maybe I'm on the same path you on. Like you don't know until you ask. Like you can assume all day, but you don't know until you ask. But yeah, just having
And
that.
then
But it should be a natural, organic flow of the questions. It shouldn't just it should be kind of like a job interview, but not necessarily like that. It should just be more like just
Right.
just a banter, a back and forth or whatever. So yeah.
yes,
Yeah, because that's what I'm needing to know here. Like, am I under interrogation? But and I'm saying all that and I'm laughing, but because I am the question queen. Like I have
mm-hmm.
I have like questions in my phone. Like when I get to know that I want to know. Like, let me see. We talked about believing in Jesus. We talked about that, but like I take things like something that came up on one of our shows that I adopted as a question. Not just do you attend church, how do you serve in your church? Because or in your place of worship, whatever you do, how do you serve? Because you could be a CME Christian this Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter. So I don't know, because I go when I'm in, I go. If I'm not traveling for work, I'm there. So I just need to know, are you CME or or what? So I ask, what kind of, and as things progress, I mean, things I ask a lot. I have a whole thing, but the question the what I just recently adopted, which I thought was really good. I show. It said, if your best friend were here, what would they warn me about dating you? And I was like, good. Because you find those habits. Those are those habits that, well, people say I do this, but they right. They right. That's what I want to hear. So, okay. So I was curious about that, Demetrius, because you was so I just needed to know, is that how this goes on this date, or am I listening for the answers? Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else did I want? Is it ever too early to start asking questions?
No.
I say no. Now I would say too early is like me and Demetrius just met each other, and then like how he just spewed out all them questions. That would have been a little bit too early. Sir, we just met 5 minutes ago. but I would say, but I would say later on, maybe let's say if we exchange numbers, and later on that evening or that night, kind of give that person, if that person that you gave the number to leaves by texting you first, then okay, y'all get to know each other. Then maybe the next day start asking questions. But I don't think too early is never too early to ask questions, because, like we said, you need to know, because we're too old to be wasting time and to be playing games.
Absolutely. We are definitely too old time. Everybody know my biggest pet peeve. I have several pet peeves, but the biggest is wasting my time. Oh my gosh. And that's huge. I heard never too early, but eased in the beginning. I know, right? We cannot beat these people up. I mean, we just okay. Okay, and again, I'm one to talk because I stay with the questions. I stay with the questions. But what would y'all say are the pros of getting these questions out in the beginning, though? What are the pros? Even, and I'm saying not necessarily the first day, but over the first periods of time.
Yeah, I think it should be a thing where it's just kind of like you feel it, kind of like chemistry. Like there should be an energy of where you kind of feeling like, okay, maybe I feel comfortable enough to ask this question, or you like you said, not just rapid fire, but just maybe not be in the hot seat, but maybe a warm couch where you can just kind of just feel comfortable enough to ask these questions and get the feedback, and then like you said, it's just that chemistry, that kind of banter back and forth where you feel, okay, this is going, I feel like this is, I can comfortable enough to ask this question, or how about this one, or whatever. And just like you said, just kind of just test, kind of just, as they say, check the temperature. So
yes. Yeah.
Excuse me. I'll add to that.
Yeah.
So I would say the pros can be they'll look at you like you're a straight shooter. You get straight to the point. You're not trying to waste their time. You're not trying to waste your time. Now the cons, I would just say they'll probably be like, wait a minute, you a little, you just trying to pack it all on me at one time. Wait a minute, slow down. that's the only thing that I can think of. But for me, I was like, okay, they trying to get to the point. They not trying to waste no time. They trying to see what this is. They're trying to get to know this other person. They trying to get to know me. Like, okay, I can get with it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think the cons are now, Demetrius? What are the cons of coming out there to gate?
Depending on your comfort level, you could be like y'all been saying, this is too much right now.
Right.
It's too much. Let's like you said, let's slow it down or whatever. Or I understand that you're trying to get to know me, but let's slow walk this dog. Let's pace ourselves. Ask me how the food is, right? Like just don't just come out with questions and questions and questions. So I get that part, but yeah, just like it should be a comfort level. Like it shouldn't be, like I said, the hard hitting questions out the gate, because like you said, some people it can be off putting and then they uncomfortable and just say, you know what, this person is a little bit too pushy, too this and that. But yeah, it should be like I said, just kind of just easing into those questions, and then like you said, over time, then we get with the more deep penetrating ones. So
yeah, but and you always have to read the room too. I think you meet somebody and not realize that they're kind of shy, and you just start going at it, and they're just like, whoa, and they could very well be a really good person,
right.
And not necessarily have something to hide. They just like you took me too fast, like wait a minute. As well as I think, one of the cons are now you get involved and you start liking somebody, and now you find out some stuff later, and they weren't hiding it, but we just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, you do what? Oh man, but now I like you and I kind of want to keep you, but that's gonna drive me crazy, those little things, like kids are a big thing. Okay, talking about kids. I know that came up in the comments. Kids, do we ask that on the first date, or what do we do? Do we ask about kids on the first date?
Yes, because we need to know who is the baby mamas and how many do you have. Like,
we got to take it further. We got to know how many baby mamas too.
No, because we don't need to call you and then next thing you know, your baby mama might answer the phone or your daughter. Like, we need to know, sir, who is this? What we doing here? Or if you invite us over and then we see another chick, wait a minute, this ain't sister wives. What's going on here? I don't like sharing. Okay.
Right. Okay. Demetrius, you asking out the gate about the kids?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a thing of like, maybe she has one, I have three, and maybe she's like, I only want to date a person that just has two. Or I may not want more kids. Maybe I want more kids. So like you said, it just needs to be that way of just opening that gate to, say, okay, this is where we are, or like this is where I am. And, more questions could be, follow-up questions and stuff like that or whatever. So to your point, like you said, wasting time. Like if it's something where I feel like, hey, I'm not ready, I'm done having kids, and you want 3 or 4 more, like this may not go anywhere. Like,
yeah. Because we see that on the dating profile. They ask you that, hey, want kids, don't want kids, have kids, don't want more. Yeah, that's a big deal. Because even if that further, how old are your kids? Because like me, my kids good and grown. I'm in this life right now. I'm I'm an empty nester. Yeah, see,
That's the next question. If they grown, do they still live with you?
right, because that's okay. I'm so
Yeah.
glad. I'm so glad you said that because yeah, do they still live with you? Because sometimes little Ricky think he your man, and
Yep.
so you can't bring somebody else around because little Ricky think he running things.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, player, no, or yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And good. I like that question. Do you have any children and or baby mama drama?
Baby.
All of that.
Yeah.
Um, right. Because that drama, yeah, we don't want that. I don't think anybody says, hey, I'm up for the drama. They're not. So that's a really good question. And I even will go further. This is moving into date 2 or 3, but what is the dynamic of your co-parenting?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a
those
good one.
things are yeah, that's important. Like what kind of relationship do y'all have? Are y'all cool? Or y'all butt heads? Do y'all have a good system?
Mm-hmm.
And all of those things are important to know because if we go any further, now I'm a part of that equation. So I need to know, is the mathing or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like where
Good
will I
point. Like
fit
you said
in?
about parenting skills, like are you Cliff Huxtable or are you Joe Jackson? Like which one are you? Like,
Ooh,
like
yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
that's something where maybe they don't, believe in, spankings or whoopings or whatever, and you
Yeah.
say I can talk everything out. And then, like you said, that may be a problem for somebody. So, like you said, having those conversations, like you said, not
Mm-hmm.
out the gate, but eventually, like you said, eventually having
Right.
those, like, I want you to, it may be a blended family eventually. So, what does that look like?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And even leading up to that, just that boundary of meeting children.
Yeah.
Okay. What is
hmm
that? I know we talked about that on one of my shows a few some weeks back. We talked about just how to, kids fit into the whole dating equation. But, you know, how do you feel about introducing me to your kids, or not? I mean, is that ever going to be a thing? I could go the rest of my life without anybody meeting my children, even though they're not going to let that happen. Because
Yeah. They're not.
they are right. They're not. But I mean, they're grown, but is that a thing? Would my children want to meet you, even if they are adults? Would they want to meet you? So those things are big deals. So yeah, I think that's got to come out right away because yeah,
Yeah.
I see this comment. The kids think they're they're the parents now.
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
Like
Yes. Asking
you're not
questions. Where
running
you
things.
going? Like,
You,
come on now.
yeah, you don't run nothing over here, but that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, that
Let's
is.
let's take a quick commercial break because I mean conversation is getting good because I'm about to throw another hot one in there when we back. But let's take a quick commercial break. Hey everyone, we're back to the So Free with Z, So Free and Single with Z. I gotta get these two hashtags straight. So Free and Single with Z podcast, and we are here with Nicole and Demetrius, and we are talking about those essential dating questions and what that when we asking questions, when we're not asking questions. So we're here talking. We're talking about those kids and what those questions and asking about that right away. And I see a comment say, you ain't meeting my kids so further down the line if it's serious or getting serious. Agreed.
Agree.
And if you're going to do
Well,
that, having a discussion about what that looks like. What
I'm
Nikki,
kind
what you need to say?
I'm kind of on the fence because I feel that you should, I would say, introduce them right away to see how they will interact, but not like 2 days in. I would say like months in. instead of waiting years. Because let's say y'all been getting to know each other for years, then you introduce kids, they don't get along. Then now that's gonna be a rift in the adults relationship, then the children in the adults relationship. Then when y'all start talking about discipline, let's say he's the disciplinarian, but then your daughter or their children might be disrespectful towards you, and that's a whole nother commotion. Like, no,
Right.
I would rather do it right away. That way we can all sit down collectively, his kids or my kids, or however the dynamics will be. And then I will also say, as far as the baby mamas, we all need to sit down also as well as adults, so we can all be on one accord and know, okay, when we say over here at this house that they on punishment, when they go over there to baby daddy, baby mama house, they need to be on punishment over there as well too, so we can all be on one accord.
Hey, well, and that's something that I think that's why the conversation up front of just let's talk about what it will look like as far as meeting kids, because that could happen down the line. So let's talk about what that looks like. So if one is like, and I had this happen with someone, and they were just like, yeah, they were just really off-putting about meeting their kids. Like mine, I was like, oh, here go them two, there they go. Because one, I was able to get a vibe from the children, like, hey,
Yeah.
but gave good vibes. So I was like, okay, when am I gonna meet your kids? And it just went on, and eventually it never happened. And I was like, okay, but that also was some other signs and some other things. So that was a conversation, if nothing else, to have, like, so let's talk about what it looks like to meet each other. What would that look like for you, and what would that look like for me? Because if you say a year down the line and I say 3 months down the line, we're on two different pages.
Yeah.
I mean, there definitely should be a medium, to your point. Like, there should be where, like you said, the comfort level should be there, but at the same time, like you said, trying to come to that medium of like, okay, where do you see this? I mean, first, where you see this relationship going, and then if that, like, then let's introduce our kids to it, because I see this moving forward. I see us getting blended or whatever. And let's have those conversations versus, like you said, it being a whole bunch of, I don't know, just no medium. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like no medium, no happy medium or anything like that. No common ground. Just everybody just they're in their comfort level, you in your comfort level, and there's no, like I said, if we're trying to do this together, let's do this together. So, eventually there should be some understanding, but at the end of the day, there should be eventually some uncomfortable conversations where we're growing together. So.
Yes, I've seen this comment about them grown children trying to question me. Yeah, you get to meet, but grown children need to stay in their place too. Like, you are not my man, or you are not somebody's woman. You introduce yourself and push.
I'm the grown child that will ask questions.
Wow. Okay. All right. For me, I'm like, hey, I let people do what they gonna do. I say, hey, I always, my answer to everything is I ain't sleeping with them, so hey, we all right.
True.
My way, I'll say. So I'm gonna throw another hot essential question out there that I never thought was an essential question until it was an essential question, and now it's the essential question. Are you married?
Oh yes. That's
Why I have had to ask people this that are in my face regardless is beyond me. But you couldn't have told me that some years ago that was an essential question to ask somebody, are you married? Thinking,
are you separate?
Yeah, right. Because I was saying there are levels to this. Because the first, are you married? Are you okay? If you're still married, well, first of all, why are you talking to me? And then if they go into that one separated, okay, cool. What does that look? Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean separated? Separate bedrooms, or separate homes, separate regions, states, countries, all of that. I don't know how separate are you. Then I even take it further. Go, okay, if you're not married, are you in a relationship? And I see somebody say that way. Are you in a relationship? That's exactly where I was gonna go with it. Does somebody think y'all are in a relationship? Okay, even if you're not in a relationship with them, do they go with you? So why are these essential questions? Why? What's happening? Where are we?
We just have people that just have no morals, no values, no loyalty, no nothing. They just want to do whatever they want to do, and then they think other people are going to be okay with it because someone down the line that they met was okay with it.
Right. Ooh, that's a good one there. Somebody was okay with it. Somebody said, we're going to let this slide. And so they kept on slipping and sliding into DMs. Yes. So we're going to keep sliding into somebody's DM. Yeah, but you're right. It is absolutely sad that we have to ask those questions. But like, what? I mean, have you experienced that a lot, Demetrius? Have you had to...
Look, I will withhold names to protect the guilty, but yeah, I mean, it's been, like you said, an experience where people are not upfront with their, like you said, their situation, or they feel like, okay, I know I'm going through this, but I want you to be the perfect balance of my mess. And that's, again, like you said, that's not fair. Like, okay, if I am in a situationship and I'm, trying to have a roommate and trying to let things go and all this other stuff, why would I? You would think it would be like, why would I even entertain somebody else? Let me get my stuff together. But like you said, they want to be halfway out, halfway in, or whatever, and then still trying to say, okay, well, I'm gonna step my toe out just a little bit to see if there's a better situation before I completely leave this alone. But again, that's not being upfront and honest about what you want to do. Be the example of what you want in a situation. So if you're trying to say, okay, I'm single and free, and I want to meet somebody that's on the same level, then that's what it should be. Like you said, it's messed up that you got to ask, married or have you been married? And I think the have you been married is kind of a, like I said, an opener, but the fact that you got to say, are you married now?
Like today.
Like, right, today. Like, is the ink still, is it still wet right now? Is it not dry yet? Like, where are you in your situation? So I totally agree with that. That is that's a I believe would be a upfront question that needs to be asked. So yeah,
that's a deal breaker. I'm sorry. I don't mess around with the married people. That's a whole covenant between you, the other person, and Jesus. You're not gonna drag me to hell with you, okay? I'm not doing it.
Right?
I'm not. I don't care if you talking about so we separate. She over here in China. I'm over. Sir, you're still married, okay? You're still married.
And my thing is this.
Paper.
Yeah. My thing is this. Don't take my option or choice from me.
Yes.
So if I am okay with you being in a separated situation, but you lying about it, then you've taken my choice. If I'm not okay with it, then let me not be okay with it and let's keep moving on. Okay. Yeah. Whatever my stance is, don't take my choice. And that's what would burn me up. You take my choice from me when you don't tell the truth or you're not forthcoming about those type of things. That's just the worst. And I've been in situations where it was like, I'm not gonna do that. And I've been in a situation, I mean, because I'm very transparent. I've been in a situation where I was like, okay, we can work with that, but what does that look like? And so I've been in both situations. But I my choice. Don't tell me you're not, and then somebody knocking at my door or showing up at my job. And now I got to defend myself for somebody I didn't even know existed. Oh my God, that's the worst. So yeah, for married men, just to stay out the DM, stay out of the face, all of that. And I love that you're asking that extension of it. Is there anyone who thinks that you're in a relationship? Because I need to know that you got somebody out here that's got stalker tendencies, or right. because it ended things. It could be how you ended things. You left them with unanswered questions, and they just trying to get your attention to get those questions answered. And that's why they keep showing up, popping in your window. It's not because they're crazy. It's because you won't answer their questions. Answer that baby. Let her know that
I see you.
What's it? Right? They in the window. There's a reason why she in the window. She it's a small portion that's really just thrown off. The rest of it, you had something to do with it.
Just put it off on her. Man, she crazy. She just be showing up out of nowhere. Okay.
Not out of nowhere. It's rarely out of nowhere. So, but I also like that kind of extension that I hear saying, have you ever been married? Because I think that's a big deal too. What do y'all think about that as far as, because I mean, for me, do you have marriage experience? Do you not? Is there potential baggage? Just that's kind of my reasoning, and I may not go deep into that first initially, but I would want to know that. What do y'all think about that question?
Valid question. Where, like you said, it's kind of setting the tone of like, okay, this person has the experience of being married, going through the whole divorce process, hopefully, and they hopefully had time to heal and move on and stuff like that. And like you said, maybe they don't want to get married right now. Like you said, maybe you're on the path of, I'm looking for the person to settle down with. But like you said, there should be that conversation of, okay, if you're saying, okay, have you been married before? And they say yes, if they feel open to talk about it, maybe it's a sensitive subject. Like, okay, I understand, I respect that or whatever. But we're going to circle back to this. But, right now, okay, it's a sensitive subject. But, right now, like, I understand, you've been through a lot and stuff like that or whatever. Feel open to talk about it, let's talk about it. If not, let's talk about it, soon. But then that follow-up question should be, do you see yourself getting remarried? Maybe somebody just says, I just want a relationship, or I'm just having fun, or I'm just having this and that. That should be, like you said, that initial, like, okay, what we, where we are, like, where your intentions, like, for the next, however, couple weeks, months, or whatever the case may be. So,
right.
Yeah.
I would say, those are questions that we need to be asking before we get on the date.
Oh, okay.
Before we start dating, because when you start dating, you're starting to get serious. And then why would I get serious with you if you're saying that you're not ready to get remarried, or you're not even dating to be married? You're just dating to have fun. So now I just set myself up to get hurt when I know that I want to date to be married. I'm going to be somebody, Mr. Somebody, but then you don't want to put your last name to me. So why would I even go on a date with you if you don't want to do that?
That's huge, and I'm so glad you brought that out, because that's something I was definitely going to jump in there and say, like, just finding out someone's general intentions. Like, I always say, often say, what are your intentions for me? You don't know me. So you can't really say what your intentions for me, because you may get to know me and say, I ain't got no intentions for you, but to lose your number, that's, that could be the intention. So, but what is your intention in dating as a whole? Like, are you for something serious, or is it something, like you said, something casual, or are you interested in being married? If you've been married before, are you interested in being married again? Because those are huge too. I've met some really great guys, like, and I've met some really great people who have zero interest in being married. They're like, man, either they had a really bad experience, which also tells me they were unhealed, because they had a really bad experience. They're like, man, after my last marriage, I won't do that again. I don't mind being with somebody for the rest of my life, but I ain't gonna get married.
That is married.
Might as well, but and because it could have been like, I had one, it was a bad financial situation. Like, she took everything he had, and he didn't deserve that. He was like, man, I've taken care of this woman her whole marriage. She hasn't paid a dime. All I've told her to do is, be pretty and do what she do. And then we go through divorce, and she took everything. So I'll never get married to somebody again, because my finances are tied to it. And I'm like, oh, well, Like, I understand, but that's still not what I'm looking for, you know. So those are huge things to ask. Like, what is your dating intention as a whole? Like, what do you want to do with your life? I think those are pretty big questions to find out right away, because like involved in it. And now I'm like, man, this dude think he about to get the cow. He ain't gonna get the milk, but he ain't got to buy the cow, and wasted my time. So we know how I feel about wasting my time. Let's super quick commercial break real quick and come right on back. A super duper quick commercial break. All right, and let's go. All right, we're back with So Free with Z. I'm gonna do this every time. So Free and Single with Z. Okay, let's be clear. So Free with Z was birthed long before So Free and Single with Z, so it rolls off the tongue to say it. But so we're talking about those essential dating questions, and I had another one that I thought about. And let me know if y'all have encountered this one. Well, just asking about like their relationship expectations as far as monogamy. Or like, hey, are you into poly? Are you into all of that stuff? Because hey, people are doing some different things. And they're like, yeah, I want you to be my woman, one of them, you know. You know, so have y'all encountered that kind of stuff there?
So when I was married, I encountered my husband having fetishes. Didn't know nothing about no fetishes. And into BDSM. If y'all don't know what that is, bondage, submissive, all of that stuff.
Yep.
And then so when I started reading up on it in the different vocabulary, I said these people are some perverts. Cause like, why are we dressing up as infants and that turns you on? Like that's nasty. Like, and then he was like, well, I'm not into that. But sir, it's in the same category. So like now I'm like, wait a minute, what did I get myself into? But then some of the stuff that I saw that I was interested in was a part of that category too. And so I was like, I need education. So I started looking at it and I was like, okay, because I was about to say, wait a minute, sir, we gonna have to break up because I'm not doing this, okay?
Right.
But when you don't know, that's where we were saying about you need to ask the questions in the beginning. If I would have asked, and then to be honest, I didn't even know nothing about that type of stuff. I just thought, sex was sex. I didn't know about being tied up in bondage and choking and whipping, and I didn't know about that type of stuff. I was like, I didn't know. Like, sir.
Hey, it's a lot of different stuff out here. I mean, people, but and I can see maybe you didn't get the details of it first. Maybe you do, but nowadays you got to bump that question up a little further. Like what are you into? Like, what is a partner look like for you? Because, or does it partners look like for you? Yeah, Demetrius, you run into some stuff, or is that you? He like, man, they telling all my business.
No, like you said, it should be a gradual where you have those conversations, especially if you feel like, again, like if you're trying to go to a next level with somebody, and it shouldn't be assumed anything. Like there should be transparency. Right. There should be transparency. Like if you should ask those uncomfortable questions about, like you said, what you into, what you like, what you don't like, and stuff like that, or whatever. Not just, because you trying to be on something nasty, but just more I'm trying to get to know you. Like, okay, I'm trying to see if like you said, it may be something that eventually I'm like, Man, I don't know about that. But and then eventually it may be like, oh yeah, you into that too? Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, we're gonna get
Right.
along
Yeah.
just fine.
Right. It could be a match, you
Yeah,
know.
You gotta
yeah.
follow
So
So
down together. Like, come on.
right. So
right,
you're
like
not
man.
you can't assume though, because like you said, if you're trying to put on this facade, and again, people do that, like say, you're trying to put on this facade of like, I'm gonna just be innocent and they'll just figure it out. Oh, like if you're trying to make this your partner, your
Yeah.
number one, all this other stuff, they need to be just an open book about everything. And like you said, it should be a gradual unraveling of the book, but at the
Mhm.
same time, they should know. And I mean, it takes a lifetime to know somebody. I get that part. But at the
Right.
Yeah.
same time, like you need to, if you're trying to build closeness and bondness, there needs to be some open dialogue versus I just thought you knew, or I thought everybody
Right.
was into that. No, they're not.
Right.
You're doing some stuff I never even knew existed. So I
Like
need to like talk this through. Or that's an opportunity to say, okay, like if they are into that, let's, okay, let me see what you're talking about. I don't know what that means, or oh, that's what that is. Oh, okay, I know what that we called it something else back in the day. So like until
right.
y'all had those conversations, like just like I said, just be open to like open dialogue at the end of the day. So
And I don't think those are bad conversations to
mhm.
honestly earlier. Of course, before you involve yourself physically with somebody, yeah, I think and it's always been kind of this mystery. We've made just sex as a whole a mystery. Like we don't want to talk about it. Like it's and we've been in a society where they, with parents and grandparents that didn't talk about those things. So
Mhm.
now just being able to break that cycle to say, okay, before we even get physical, let's talk about what that looks like, for you. And because like you said, somebody could like a little chokey choke, and other people like, don't you dare. Or some people like their hair pulled, and others like, not my good weave, So you know, just those little things. You need to have those conversations before you're physical. So yeah, a lot of these conversations bumps to the back burner have moved up.
Yeah.
If not
And
date number
this is
one, it's, it's gonna be in the top three. We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about it. Uh, and we talked earlier about because I wanted to bring up this other question that I asked because we talked about mental health earlier and
mhm.
just and healing. So from past, so one of the questions that I actually ask is, what role did you play in the demise of your previous relationship? And,
That's a heavy one. That's a
yeah,
heavy hitter.
yeah, because listen, we all play a role in our how our relationship goes in our past relationship. Now, it may not be a heavy role. You may say, "Well, that person definitely was on 10. I was on 5, but they was on 10." But do you acknowledge that you played a role? What your role was? Because now that shows me, are you a person that takes accountability? You know,
Yeah.
will you say, you know what, I messed up, or this is what I could have done better, or I could have spoke to her him differently. I could have all of those different things, whatever it is. Even like for me, one of mine was saying, you know what, I had to own up to the fact that I was not upfront about my needs, wants, standards, or expectations, and
Mhm.
then I had added later on to hold you to a standard that I never expressed. So
Yeah.
that was something that I had to own. Like, man, this is the reason why this dude won't do this because I never said that that's what I required or needed. So,
Mhm.
what do y'all think about that question?
Very valid. There's a thing they call backtracking where what I do is like say, like you said, if we in no bad terms, it just was just messy and just toxic and all this other stuff. I will actually play back, like in my mind, like just those conversations that led to that point. Like it wasn't where did it start from? Where did the demise, like you said, of the relationship started from? Was it me not communicating like I should? Was it me taking stuff out on her that or was it her just maybe not listening to me when I said like just playing that stuff back in my mind to like you said, where do we see where it happens, where possibly in the future, it may not be as bad where maybe I could circle block or something like that because it wasn't that bad, or just be like, okay,
About
I
that
know what
last
to
week.
do. Or I could be like where I can actually say, okay, I know my part in this situation and what to do better next time, or like you said, even that situation where say she messed up and you say, okay, now I know what I need or what I want in a partner because she wasn't it. But if I look for a partner instead of focusing on what I don't want, and that's a lot of people too, where they focus on what they don't want. And their profile says, I don't want this, I don't want this. Well, you're attracting more of what you don't want when you put out there what you don't want. But if you say, yeah, I'm looking for a lady that does this, or I'm looking for this, and that, or whatever, then that'll bring, be brought to you. Like attracts like. So like just think about that more. Of course, everybody's the common denominator, even though they don't want to admit it. But like you said, have that accountability where you say, okay, yeah, maybe I should have, communicated that better, or maybe I shouldn't have popped off and said this or whatever.
Right.
So like, just have that time to reflect, like have that downtime. Don't rush into anything. Like you said, if it's a thing where it just didn't work out, just give that time to process, to heal, and then again, just either move forward or maybe see, okay, if there's still a chance for us. But again, just have that downtime to reflect. So
Yeah. And so for me, at first, I didn't. I was just like, I know I did everything right, and but then I
Yeah.
had to. Then I was like, wait, nah, cause me slapping him, that wasn't right. Me
Right.
going off, that wasn't right. Me not listening, that wasn't right. So I was just like, yeah, I had to. Even though I can, there's no reason to put your hands on somebody else, even if
Right.
they do put you there. You still have to have some kind of self control. So I had to really look at myself like, okay, Nikki, you got a problem. If
Yeah.
somebody push you to that point, you got to find another way to handle things. So of course therapy and stuff like that, but of course I had to be accountable for what I did. But then
Yeah.
when I actually found the time to ask him, he was like, "Well, you acted like you didn't need me," and I said, "I'm sorry. I don't mean no harm on what I'm about to say, but in our marriage, I really didn't because you didn't step up to the plate. I was doing everything." And he was like, "Well, you more mature than me, sir. You're still supposed to be the leader. Why are we saying it's me?" I said, "You know what? Never mind. I'll just do this reflection by myself because I don't now, no." So yeah, I had to just take time and actually evaluate myself and evaluate the situation. And then now I can honestly say I don't want that in a partner. I don't want to get pushed there. I don't want that. I want somebody where I can be soft with, someone who's not intimidated with me being who I am as a person.
Yeah. And that just I mean having someone that's reflective is huge. So, I think there's lots of intention when I ask a question like that because I want to make sure that you are reflective.
Hmm.
We all have faults and we're two imperfect people. So, and maybe we weren't a match in the beginning, or maybe we're a match that just we can't get the fire started and we need to rekindle the fire. But and maybe we never revisited that, and maybe we didn't get a chance to spin the block. But I need to make sure that I'm reflective. So one, I don't take my bad practice into the next relationship, and two, just it's a part of the healing process is being reflective. Like, what are you to better yourself in everything? Okay, you've got to make sure that you're reflective. And if I am with somebody and I'm questioning them and I ask them, what was their role, and they're like, man, I was perfect. Like, man, it was her. I'll be
Why
like,
y'all not together then?
right. That nah, you weren't perfect. Nobody's perfect. So, because if so, like you're right. Why aren't you still together? So what did you not had a pull to say, okay, hey, let me help this imperfect person since you so so yeah, that's a red flag for me. If
Hmm.
you're like, well, I don't know what was wrong with old boy or old girl, because I was just good. I was good. Whatever.
Like going back to those initial questions when you first meet, like you said, if you like say for instance you know now no longer married, like you mind me telling you what happened or telling me what happened or relationship, like what happened or whatever. And like you said, if you're always the victim in the stories, you can't always be the victim in the stories.
Right.
Like, eventually, what's your part in it? Like you said, if the common
Right.
denominatorship, what's your part in it? And that's why I said, like, just reflect. Like, if you're having this routine of issues where relationships are not lasting long or whatever the case may be, maybe just pause and just say, let me reflect on me. What do I need to do? Take that accountability and ownership and say, okay, this is what I need to do moving forward. After I reflected, after I backtracked and thought all the way back and all the way forward, what that looks like, and then able to say, okay, I know what I need to do, me moving forward, or even what I want and don't want, moving forward and stuff like that.
Yes,
So
sir.
Absolutely. And everything we've said today boils down to something that's been a common theme of almost all of our shows, like making sure that we're not afraid to ask those hard questions, and the things that maybe weren't hard questions or weren't essential questions before are now. The things that are important to you, the things that mean something to you, you shouldn't be afraid to ask it up front. And if that person is not, then maybe they're just not that person for you. They're not open. For whatever reason, you haven't made them feel comfortable to be open with you too. So man, time flies. I'm telling y'all when we're having fun. But I appreciate y'all for coming on, talking about those essential questions. Like these are the things that we gotta ask the questions. Don't get mad later and you didn't ask the question.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for joining me today. No problem. So today, as we're closing out the show, I just want to say, y'all, as always, ask the question. Ask the question. If someone's offended by your question, typically it's maybe they have something to hide, or maybe you rapid fire them. We won't want to rapid fire. We want to ease them into it. Important in those initial dates or those initial meetings to make sure that you get to know the person that you potentially are going to be involved with. Otherwise, you're just going to be disappointed. Trust me. So, y'all, next week we will be back, or I'm sorry, it's the week after. We have a little pause in there. But we have our final show of season 1, which is going to be talking about ghosting when Boo didn't say bye. We want to talk about this because we know people like to just all of a sudden just disappear, and that's when they end up, like we said on the show earlier, tapping on your window, and we don't need all that. So we're gonna talk about that next week. And also, we are casting for season 2. So if you are single, we would love to have you on the show. I mean, as you can see, we just some single folks together talking. We, none of us are relationship experts. We're just some folks on here talking about relationships. So we're looking for you. We're especially looking for some guys, because I mean, the ladies, they come through the woodwork. They're ready. They on the spot. But we need some more guys on the show. And granted, I have some great guy guests who will keep coming back if I ask to. They come back. But we're looking for you. If you're single, which means you're not married, we just talked about that today, and would love to be a part of the show, definitely hit me up. On one of my channels, either my Facebook, on my YouTube, my LinkedIn, hit me up, and I'd love to see you on the So Free with Z podcast. We will catch you all next week.